focus.
Wait.
Okay.
Okay, and then you can share the screen also. Like,
Oh, yes.
okay,
Yes, yes.
we are good to go.
We are so good to go.
Yes. Okay. Welcome
Yeah.
to React 2, everybody. Last module. The second last module. Because we have Git 2 at the end, no? 3 weeks, React 2
Yes.
with Thomas, Julian,
So happy ending.
Lucas.
Yeah,
That's
me
up
and
to you.
Git, we
That's
are
up
good
to you.
together
That's
now.
up to you. Yeah,
Good
3 weeks
relationship.
React and then we do Git 2. And then final project.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Easy.
And
Yeah.
how much you have time for meal sharing? Or
Yes. How is meal sharing is the
before the final?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the third list.
It's the third week.
Yeah,
the
third week.
So it's 1
Alone-
week for
alone
creating the
project?
website or 2 weeks? Isn't the whole thing?
I think our idea is that you sort of begin and you get all the foundations already during the next 2 weeks, right? But we'll see. We have some great exercises for you
Yes.
today. We have not a lot of new topics because you already know so many things in React, like state, fact, right? You know how to render components, props. Anything I forgot? Yeah, I mentioned that. Cool. I don't know if you want to say 2 words about yourself.
Yeah, sure.
If
So
you're new.
I'm new here. My name is Julian. I'll try to teach you a bit of React. I'm a React Native developer. I'm working for Danske Bank. So when it's in regards to styling React.js, I'm not the best, but I have the concepts of React, so I'll definitely be able to help with that. And I think should just start with the first hook that we're gonna teach them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first hook is gonna be called use context. And here we have like a small example. Maybe you want to show it as you created it.
Sure.
What's the point of it?
Exactly.
And welcome to the first
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so you can see I just took the standard
Oh,
React setup, right? And then I added this ugly stuff in the top, which is supposed to be a navbar. So we have a navbar component here. And we have an input here to put the name. And what do you think happens when I, not that. What do you think happens when I type in this field?
It will be all done in use state, use department. So it's
Yeah.
the controls element. Control element.
It's a controlled input, this one, exactly. What does it mean, controlled input?
So we could manage the state with the same thing.
Yeah, so React manages the state, right? And then I made these 2 components like navbar already mentioned, and it takes a name property. And then it passes the name property to avatar. And avatar is this component that you see here. It has a 50 by 50 image and the name. And it's here, this component. So if I change the name here, it will then update. So what do you think we could improve about this structure? Like, imagine I have another component here that would take the name. Like, let's say we have like a component wrapping this. Then you have to pass the name through like 3 layers of components, right? So maybe there's an easier way to do that.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. That is just, is it beta.react?
Or it's React.dev.
Oh, they published it. Nice.
Nice.
Okay, so React has a hook that's called use context. And it allows you to create a context in the root of your app. And then inside Like no matter how deep in the component tree, you can then access properties of this context. So that probably sounds very complicated to you. But
Yeah.
maybe you can explain it in an easier way. I don't know.
I think when it comes to context, is that you have like this information that you need. Let's say it's some global state that you really want to use in like a component that's really deep. You don't want to just continue just passing it like over and over. Let's say the component tree is like 100 layers. I'm just exaggerating. You don't want to pass these props on and on and on and on, just to access it in the last component. So this context is just like a wrapper, like a store kind of, that you can just use it. You just, yeah, you call the context, and then you're going to get these values that you can then consume in your component. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
an explanation. But
Yeah,
maybe
cool.
when we get to the examples, it's a bit easier.
I think that
Another
maybe
example, maybe.
I would just implement it for this one because I haven't done it in a long time, so I also have to use the documentation basically.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
So let's just try. So I guess what they're showing here is like sort of the end goal. Like you already have your theme context in this sense. So let's go back to the app. Let's create a context.
First, we're going to have to import the create context method from React because we want to create the context.
Right, you
Right.
see it imported it.
Then we can pass like a default value or just nothing. We can leave it empty for now.
Okay. And then we'll have to have
Like
what?
in our main application, we can just consume this context. It's gonna we're gonna wrap the whole application in a use context.provider, and then we're gonna pass
Okay.
in the values.
So let's create this in main.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, does it make sense so far? We only added 3 lines for now.
Yes. 3 lines, and they do nothing at the moment because there is no value in the context.
Okay, so then we go back. Oh, actually, we now have to provide the value like
Yes.
inside the context, right?
Yes.
So how do we do that? Let's say that here.
For example, we can just pass it like a string with
Oh, yes.
yeah, or like an object. We can pass like anything. It's JavaScript basically. We can pass even functions, arrays, objects.
But the
numbers.
prop is always called value, right?
Yes, it's always called value.
Okay, so let's say I have an object with a name. And
Should we just put age just for?
I'm thinking that we also need a way to update the context value, right?
Yes, you can also.
But how do we do that? I forgot that.
For
Maybe
example,
you know.
we can also make like a custom hook.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
So, I mean, you know, React has hooks, right? Use effect, use state. You can make your own hooks, right? I will just call it use user, and the hook is just a function. So we have the user context. And then from here, we
Like in this.
yeah, I mean,
Like a little bit.
yeah, you can try, but I think I have to change the keyboard layout for you.
That's fair.
Oops. Oh.
Do you have the English keyboard?
Very soon. Hang on.
Very soon, very soon. I'm just impatient.
Yeah. ABC, why is it called
Yes,
ABC?
I
That
don't know,
correct?
but yeah, it's correct.
Okay, cool.
So let's create this hook. So we're gonna need this name and we want to update it. And how can we do that? We can do that with the hook that you know called use state.
Yeah, so maybe you can just move the state that I had in the app, like into this one, right?
Yeah. And let's see where you implemented the state. You just this one,
Yes.
and then to the main. Where's main?
Yeah.
I was just blind. Then we're gonna have also to import use state. And create context.
It's because we don't
Yeah.
provide the default values. It doesn't like.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, to be honest.
Yeah.
But for example, we can just return. Let's say we can put like some children here, and we can return this user context, and the values are going to be user display name and set user display name. You can just put them inside the value. And here we're gonna just render all the children that we're gonna pass. So we can just reuse this hook when we want. This can be of type any, yeah. And here in our application, we are just gonna call this use user.
Yeah, I guess you could capitalize it.
Yeah, I think I'll just do that.
Yeah, I was thinking about something else when I made this more.
But the fun thing about React is that we can just implement like one thing in like so many ways. So it can also be like with something that's, let's say, like a capital case or like a lowercase. It depends on how we want to implement it.
Yeah, so the thing that I was thinking about, maybe I can show that,
Sure.
is you can have the context and
We can also create like an object with name to be user display name and a function that's gonna call set user display name.
this is already. I would do it like this.
Maybe, yeah, but like, actually,
The keyboard is killing
yeah,
me.
maybe should switch it back.
That's fine. Okay. So. Yeah, I mean, I think what I was going to show was a bit more advanced, so I can show it later. Like, let's get the basics first. Because right now, the app, what does it do? It still works in the way it does, but it's also because we didn't change anything about the components yet, right? We want to get rid of these props now. So how do we do that? Like, do you want to show that?
Yeah, sure. Here comes the use context hook. So we're gonna have to import this one, this context, because we want to consume this context that we've provided in the root of the application. For example, here we can just call, but first we need to export the context from our application. Export. Context. And here we're gonna have the context that we've provided. So basically, we're gonna have an array called user display name and set user display name. If I just copy it. I think this should work and we don't need these props anymore. Let's try. I'm not sure where was the navbar, to be honest.
To ask, why the past and the use context, hook use context default value? Why like in the scope? Line 7,
Line 7.
use context and use context. In the, yeah, right.
This user context.
User, yeah.
Yeah, it's the naming.
Yeah,
is
it's the
maybe
content that
not
we
the
created
case.
in main.
Yeah.
It's this one.
Yeah, so basically we have three components right now. Like components in terms of three parts, right? Not React components, but we have three parts right now. We created the context in the main file, which is like the beginning of everything, right? You
Yeah.
create the context so that React knows you want to do something with the context, right? Then you wrap the app, like your component, all of your components, you wrap it in the provider. And to make our life a bit easier, we made this custom provider that, can you show it again?
Yeah.
Right, so this function, because otherwise we would kind of need to figure out, like in this file, we can't really have state, right? Because this is not really a component. We're just rendering stuff here. We're just rendering other components like children, but we can't really hold state. So because we wanted to hold a state in the context, we made this provider. And usually when you use context, it's very beneficial to make this custom provider or wrapper, or whatever you would call it. Because you're going to have some logic in your context to manage the state. Right. And then the third part is consuming the context value in other components. And you can consume the value everywhere in your React application. Like in everything that is a child of the provider, right? So let's say I had a component here between React strict mode and user context provider. Would it be able to access the user display name and set user display name? What do you think? You say yes? Actually, no, because it has to be a child of the provider, right? As long as it's like within the provider, it's fine. But then if it's outside, it's just going to be undefined.
Yeah, and we can have like multiple contexts in our application. We're not like limited to only one.
Yeah.
Say if we have like a really huge application, we can have a context for one page that's, let's say, responsible for the my profile module or whatever, and another one for, let's say, having a dark theme or like internationalization when we want to change from one language to another.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the content we right now add some extra state with the age, for example, how it looks in the value prop.
Yeah.
How it will be used. It's like a array of arrays, or it should be object. What
It's your choice.
It's your choice, actually.
yeah, like add one more props value.
No, you can only have one value.
One.
You mean here, this
Yeah,
one?
so if we add one more state.
No, it's just this one.
Yeah, you can have an object, you can have an array, you can have a string, like, but you only have one value, right? But you can have like multiple states when you make an object, for example, or as you say, you can make an array of arrays, right? You just need to provide access to the.
It will be object, so I have to add the key value here, for example, names, key value is array of the output.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I will just finish implementing it.
Yeah,
So
that's a good idea. And then we can just talk about it.
exactly. We don't need it here.
The underscore, right?
No, actually, I think we need both here, right? Because we
Oh.
want to show,
Here we don't need it anymore.
yeah, exactly.
We'll delete it.
Why is it complaining? Okay, because it's not typed.
Yeah.
I don't care. Okay, but then we will need to move this here as well. And this goes into the component where we actually want to display the name, right? Okay, let's see. Did it reload? I have no idea.
Maybe. I would say so. There's no like dot that is not saved.
Okay, but it's not updating right now.
Yeah, because we haven't used this set user display name, I think.
I think we did.
Or did we? Yeah.
Let's see how to fix this. Oh, maybe we
In
didn't
the
save.
nav bar we don't have anything. Oh,
Yeah, but
just-
we don't need to.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's here. Wait, main. We did save this. Okay, let's see. No. Okay, so let's debug this, right? I mean, this happens all the time. Stuff doesn't work. We'll see how far we can get. So let's see if here, if I will just, because I'm a cheap developer, I just put console log. But like, you know, the professionals, they use breakpoints and stuff. Right. It's not actually formatting the file, so maybe there's something that is wrong.
Yeah, or maybe just crashed.
Yeah. What? Should be fine. What did we do wrong? See, can I save this actually? I guess it is saved. See?
Maybe let's
It's
try more.
black. The console, need that.
It was actually working, but
The sandbox crashed.
exactly.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now that we migrated the user display name state to a context, and we can actually remove this function here, right? We don't need it. And the cool thing is that I can use this in other places now, right? Let's say I want to use it here. It's not updating again.
Yeah, I believe it just died again.
Oh no.
Which I just refresh the page.
I'm wondering if we need default. Yeah. Yes. Because otherwise it will try to like iterate over undefined, and that will probably crush it.
Makes sense.
Okay, so now I have two places where I use the same state, right? And I didn't have to pass any props or anything. I just have to call the use context, and then my value is just here. So that's the advantage, right? If you have the nav bar, you have maybe something in the footer where you show the same information. Then you can use a context to show it in all the places without what we call prop drilling, where you drill a prop like through all the different components until it reaches the bottom. And then you wanted to show some like age stuff, something like that? Or it was your question actually?
Yeah, add one more state. How this looks like in the value.
Okay, let's just
You-
put like
I
another,
think you will have to change the keyboard again.
yes.
Did you use a German name?
Yeah. Yeah,
Why is it so different from
yeah, I don't
what
know.
normal people?
I don't know. But this is why I never changed, because I was too lazy to learn the other one.
So we're gonna just create like a state with age and set age. And I think we can actually just pass like more items here in this array. Or we can, I think the better way is to create like an object, because we want to destructure like each individual piece. Because if it's an array, it matters like the position that we put.
Also, what could be a problem with using an array? Like, it's a bit the same thing like a named and default exports, right? Like, if you're using an array and you're sort of iterating over that in your component, you don't know the name of the property, right? And maybe you're misspelling it. And then you have inconsistencies in all your components. Like somebody could just write age here, where the user display name is saved. And then they could just display it. And then when somebody reads the component, they will be like, age, why? Right?
Yeah.
Because you can just change it. So using an object will make sure that we have names for things.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh.
we'll need to. Oh,
I don't know what happened here.
what was this?
Yes.
And maybe we'll need to like update the
Yes, we're gonna need to update our application here. We also,
default state, right?
yes, let's just put let's put like a default with no name.
Yeah, we can.
Function that does nothing. Another function that does nothing. It's just TypeScript stuff because we didn't type anything.
So the default state, it's for the case where React renders your component, but the context hasn't initialized yet.
So would you have to pass in the value using context? No.
No, this is just sort of the fallback that you define, like when you're not passing in this value prop on your provider yet.
Yeah.
Then React will just use this, right, as the value.
It's like an initial state.
Yeah.
So we don't have a value props right now.
Well, we have to find
have-
one here, but it might take one render cycle until React gets to like, oh, okay, here's the state. Oh, another state. Now I need to return this. But in the meantime, it might have already tried to render one of your components, like the navbar, for example, and then it tries to access the context state, and it's like, there's no state. Like, what should I do? What? Right? And then if you provide a default here, it will just use that. It's like when you initialize use state, you can provide a default. Right?
So if I.
It's the same thing.
So if I only provide my name, but I have not provided my age, it will just hold my name at 0.
Yes.
Yes, but why we are like twice the same, like we initialize use state and give default value, and we
Yeah.
initialize the user context
Sure.
and give default value, so why we
Yeah.
don't have to do?
It's not a very clean implementation, yes.
Most of the time, we don't even need to provide this
Yeah.
initial step. Usually, we
Yes.
can just leave it like empty.
This
So
is,
if we can put empty object.
for example, yeah.
Yeah, or like just nothing. Yeah. But we can try that afterwards. Because maybe also, like we saw this issue because Code Sandbox is having some troubles on the back end, as you kind of saw. So yeah, then let's continue with what we need to modify in our app. So here we have in navbar. Previously it was an array. Now we have to destructure it because it's an object. Do you know what destructuring is?
Change the type of. Was on the same, it brought it to an object or to array. Or if it was array, for example.
Yeah.
You person, you value the array and it shows on this string instead of array.
Yeah, so you're sort of extracting for an object, you're extracting each single property, right?
Yeah.
Just writing
In this
the-
case,
Yes.
Proxy.
Exactly. And because you have a structure and you're dissolving the structure, that's what it's called, destructuring.
now I think it should work, but I have no idea what I did.
Doesn't work?
Yes, it's working.
Okay.
Then let's implement something for age. It's for fun. Well, it's
We're missing a line break.
yes, we're missing a line break. How it was like
Yeah, you could use like the old school
it's
one.
like the old school just but why isn't it?
For semantic HTML, we're gonna wrap these in
Yeah, and like a div.
form, or like we can add a display block to the label, for example, right? Don't use these line breaks.
Yeah, don't. This is just for testing purposes. Not the point.
He's destructuring the wardrobe. Yeah.
I'm just clicking on this one.
Yeah,
It's a link.
I would do it all.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, so that's context.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, is it possible to have more like two components, like more than three app components? Now we have only app components.
Sure, you can have more components.
This is where the children property here comes into place. It's yeah, it takes care like everything that you pass it. It's basically all the children that you're gonna pass when they're like inside this kind of JSX children.
Yeah.
We're just gonna
This is-
continue using it basically without touching it.
So here where it says children, this is going to be replaced by whatever is inside here, right?
Exactly.
This is how children works in components, right? Have we talked about children? I don't
You
remember.
have to do all of these children.
Okay.
In this case, children is equal to user context provided, right?
No,
Now it would be
Not quite.
equal to
it's this,
what's between these lines.
because this is the parent, right? These are the children, like there's only one child in this case, but there are sub-children within app, right? Because app also has children. Like
Like for example, we
internally.
I have another navbar. Just
It's not exported.
okay, wait, I'll just export it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna have it twice.
So now it actually has children, right? Because it has two.
Yeah, but I'll just put it like above just to see it.
Mhm. So what if you put it outside of the context provider?
And if I put it outside. Yes. Why isn't it on the top? Okay,
It doesn't update, right? Because it doesn't know about the context. The context is not a parent of this component. So the context provider, like this, it always has to be the parent, like one, like a parent of the component.
So it's always higher than an F, right?
Yeah, so context should be wrapped around the components where you want to use the context.
Okay, so that's because our app we grabbed inside this.
Yes.
It's just that the file is called F, it's my confusion.
Yeah, this file is actually called main. Yeah.
So we did, like first step, we create the use context in the main.
I mean, you know, by this point, you can create everything in any file that you want. You just have to export, import it, right? So I guess usually you would create a file called user context provider or user context. And then you would put your context there and you can import it in main.
this one.
So, but it's not the hook really, no?
Yeah, it is, but not here.
Yeah, not here.
It should from the small, like a use. no?
Yes. So this is just the provider. This is just this one, like a fancy version of the one that React gives us, right? So when we create a context, then React will be like, okay, you want a context. I make your context in this variable, and the variable has a property called provider. And then React tells you, okay, you have to put the provider like on top of the, well, around the components that you want to use the context in, right? And this is what we're doing here, like.
Do you want to
sort of
implement
an-
also like a hook? You can also do that. You want to do that?
We can also make a hook. This is what I usually do, actually.
Let's do that.
But the hook uses a hook.
Yeah, we can use a hook that just simplifies the use context. So we don't have to use context everywhere.
Exactly.
And maybe we can create two hooks, one for
Yes.
name and set name, and one for age.
Yeah.
Like creating a hook for a hook.
So if we have created it, so we don't have to use the context provider, component.
No, we're gonna have to use that one.
Oh.
Just so we don't use the use context, like the hook from React in app.tsx.
Stick to the naming.
Have to show this state.
I'm exporting these functions. So I can import them here. I don't have to put
Okay.
anything, right?
Yep.
Then we have a second one. Okay.
Yes,
So one of the cool things that you can do with this,
I think you have to wait for them. Yeah,
I have to return it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. It's a Sunday morning, so my brain
Yeah.
is tired.
they're partying on Saturday.
Definitely. No, not at all. Okay, you had this refresh button here. Maybe that will work. All right, so what we can do is, yeah, it complains about some nesting that I did. Sorry about that. These custom hooks, they're like, I mean, you might say they're not that useful, but if you're like using it over and over and over again, it can be useful to do it, because you can also do like more stuff here, right? Like you could say, okay, I want to know also like, is it the user's birthday or something like that, right? Or like do some calculation, like if you provide an age here, like for your use age, then calculate the difference to the user's age or something like that, right? So you can add more functionality also to these hooks. And you can wait, how maybe not sure if I can remember how to do this, but essentially what you can do is you can say if how was it?
You want to check if the context is defined or not?
Yes. Can I do? No, I probably can't do this. I have to say value here. So if
If it's not value, just show.
let's
an
say
error.
then I can say, okay, console.error move context. Or let's say used context, used value outside context, right?
Yeah.
See if we get that. Mm. I did use it in the nav bar. You want to have a look?
Yeah, I don't remember as well, but let's see.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you consider like to add a variable in that object for the use? Like, is it like the variable being used in more than one component or the same variable, or what do you consider?
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why we do this, because the state is being used in multiple components, and we want to share the state between the components.
Okay, or is it very long, like very long, like there are so many variables that you could be using?
Yes, like if you look at large React applications and you look at the main file, you will see that you have app in the middle, and then you have 100 like providers. You have a bunch of providers that are like stacked on top of each other. But you don't have to like import them. Like you don't have to use the use context hook all the time. Like you can only use it when you only have to use it when you need the state from the context, right? So it's not like you have to write a lot of code all the time just because you have a lot of state in your context. Like you don't have to use all the state from the context. You can just use some. Like let's say my application doesn't use the display name anymore. No problem. I can just only use age, right? It's still in the context still has the display name, but it's not being used right now. So
Okay, can you create more than one?
more than one context?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can create as many as you want. But remember that, and this can get really tricky, when you have a context that also uses a value from a different context, it needs to be a child of that context, right? So
Can you repeat?
so if you have two contexts and you want to use within the inner context, like the child context, you want to use a state that is within the outer context, the parent. That is possible, but not the other way around, right? Like your outer context, it cannot call use context on the inner context.
So it's not usual, yeah, so most people use just one context.
No, people use multiple contexts. The components within your context, they can still access all the stuff, but as we saw before, when the nav bar is on top instead of inside, it cannot use the context. So if you have multiple contexts stacked, the context that is like on the really outside, it cannot use any of the context values of the lower context. So usually context should be sort of how should I say, self-encapsulated, right? So you shouldn't depend on other contexts, but sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Did you fix it?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. No.
We have to use some
I can look
Google.
up an example that I had at work, and we can show you after the exercise.
Yeah, I also remember
No, you
example,
don't
but it's
see
like
Okay.
The created one. And then you use something like that to check if there is a value for the user one. When the people use
What if you confuse?
the condition that you got there, like. Once the value, like you're checking if the value was defined, is undefined.
Mm.
So if you have more than one,
Mm.
how will it know which one?
Well, because I'm saying use context
we
for the
specify-
user context, right?
Yeah.
So let's say I was using the whatever color context, then it would be something else, or like the theme context or the notification context or something like that, right?
And the provider attribute, what it's actually like stands for, is it kind of function, why do we need to put dot provider?
It's just a way of how the React team has made this API. It has it's basically an object where this key that's called provider is a component. Right, you can also make this structure by making an object and then having a key called provider, and then it contains a component. Right, this is what they did. So you can also write here like const provider equals user context dot provider, and then you just write provider here. Right.
So it's basically like provider, it's kind of a child of user
It's a property on the user context of
already programmed by the React language. Like, not language, but React developers. And there's something more, not
Yeah.
the provider, there's some other functions we can use, like user context does something else, or there is only provider.
I think it's only provider for use context. But we can check it in the documentation.
Yeah.
So like our best our best friend is the documentation. So yeah, we're just gonna have to read about it.
I'm just curious, like, if there's only one thing called provider, why did it that we need to put the provider, not just use this
I
context?
don't know.
That's yeah, their implementations.
Yeah, it's sometimes these kind of weird things happen. multiple people are working on it, and some have a different idea of API design than others. There's probably some reason. Maybe they thought, oh, we're gonna add some more in the future, so let's do it like that. Yeah, and we have an exercise for you.
Yeah, you want to introduce it? You think you
I can.
know it's
I can.
a bit more about it.
Let's see. Okay, so I know that you already made apps, like you made the counter, you made for your homework, like you made more apps, right? Is that correct? Okay, you didn't delete them all. You still have them. Cool. So you just choose one of these apps that you made, and you implement a dark and light mode styling for your app, and you should use context for that to provide the current theme to all your components that need it. And then there's a toggle where you can say, okay, now I want this theme, now I want this theme. Does that make sense? Okay, try it out.
It's JavaScript, like we didn't answer them all.
Yeah, I was talking about that. Don't use CSS this time.
And you can use like everything that you find on the internet. And the documentation, yeah, it's your friend.
Nice. I think I'll just make a copy.
Yeah, me too.
One short question. Can we just build a single white latest, like basic, and implement dark and light mode? Not in our not in our components.
And you want to use a different app?
You said that we have to implement just light and dark one. Yeah.
Yes.
So can we just install white latest like a basic React and implement it there?
But what is the basic React?
When you install in white, you have two logos and.
Yeah, sure. You could, but it might be more fun to add it to one of your applications. Once you know not the best. If you can play tennis, you can play sports. That's me, yeah. Here? Yes. Doing something, maybe we'll write down in the message and we are right here, right? Here. Oh, yeah. Maybe we should put this go on this. Yeah. Here. But isn't there one new one to take the audio? You're not a woman. Only trying to
Okay, change it up for other people around the table. I think it's someone who, table tennis and, usual tennis, and it's very happy that they do have. It's because it's like some sports sport instead, then we get, oh, yeah, the ball, so. The most is watching, it's, the racket, it's like a, tennis balls and the tennis. There's a right out. Close to 30. 6 more years and I'm 30. Yeah. Feels like yeah. How's it going? I think it's Thursday, Friday was Richmond. The material had vacation, and then I got picked up. Wednesday, and I just go yeah, I'm Indian, I'm tired. But it's today. It's not bad. I don't know. A little bit time, but I wonder why the time is low. But I think it's because I was working way too much. Then finally I was like relaxed.
It's totally normal. That happens sometimes. I also have I was a couple of months ago.
Yeah, you see a couple of times.
Yeah, 2 times in a row because I was sick and then we had this deadline and I was very stressed. And then I got sick again. Yeah.
And I think the body was just like, oh, now you can finally relax. But then okay, let's get this sickness. 33-year-old man. I'm planning to do like Benjamin Button, I'll just get younger and younger. It's pretty easy. Like always. Stick something in, and you're that's just a project. Second class citizen. Actually, I think you manage it. No. Yeah. Okay, that would be nice. Yeah. Just talk to people about the and then I have my own organization. But in the town, I live in the town. Okay, that's like an education project. No, it's my town. 3 days, wait, how many percentage is that? 3 days a week in Hackney people and 2 days in,
That's three, like 60.
yeah, 3/5, no?
Yeah.
Which is, 60%. Okay. No? Yeah. It's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
60%.
It's been a while.
So usually that we computer. Right? Why do it yourself?
Yeah, as you can see, one here.
Yes. How's the work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you also have like on call? You think yes, like
Like this instrument just keep popping. You just made like reactive algorithm. Yeah, yeah. We have like this page for us all
You're working exclusively on the.
No,
Now they copy. But my energy have that independence. And it's.
Yeah, open the logo. They use the same provider.
Yeah,
app?
it's the same.
Oh, yeah,
It's the same for the back. Yeah. But it also, I think it's not very good for the competition.
Yeah.
You know, basically like because they have.
no, yeah, they.
Other banks, bigger banks, they do not have, but you know, it's for many banks. And there's no one who like, so it's this, we just did this course.
But I wonder how many, like, yeah, because I've had like, I don't know who makes this one, it's so nice.
How does it look? It's track off of that. Yeah, it's different from mine.
Yeah, this was actually so like, what is this?
Yeah, we have the.
No,
It's useful.
but it looks like.
But they rebrand.
Sparkers in Denmark.
They had them like with that.
My app.
Sparkasse.
Yeah, it's from, it was called Utlender. Utlender line before.
Oh, okay.
Or you could just really,
But this is so big crazy.
yeah.
I found this.
I can show this to you in competition.
They have all the space with our competitors. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can just open them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's your name? Oh, it's Danske. No, I mean.
I found this bug in cities in the app and I don't think I have fixed it. Because maybe it's not the app, but it's the time, but these sort of sick area at the start. And when you return 29, you get a message like now you take now you start. So I got the message and you couldn't in the app would display. So like everything done on this one message.
Yeah,
what it's and then I looked at it in the browser and now I got it. It has some like very custom styling and whatever, so I assume that there's some sanitation that didn't really work. And I told them like, hey, this isn't working. And they were like, we're not gonna do anything. You can see it in the browser, right?
Oh, you didn't transition to that.
I did. What was it called?
Like a job.
It would be nice if you could just.
Yeah.
I can't transition.
Yes, I mean, more for thinking.
You have, right, that's the bank to work at Danske Bank. You have to have Danske Bank to work at Danske Bank. No, right?
Like, another job, like, sounds like it's been a-
Yeah, it's going through that.
Scary.
Doesn't say.
No, package. Bro, also I'm the ham and a gun.
Yeah, because More rebel. It's not only for the Scandinavian markets.
What's it called, Revolut?
Yes, it's bigger. They started the same. Revolut just around I was like focus on the Scandinavian.
What, that's all things.
Yeah, it's really that's not one problem. For example, when you go traveling, you have a really
That's important.
that's really important.
Because when you can't use credit card, it's.
That's the reason why you can example. Yes,
Take our money.
Okay, so, but I just discovered that you, this might be a EU provider. Euro. I mean, okay, it can. And previously it would cost 75 from course. No matter how much, right? So that's, and now it's paying for, I think they have an example where you would, but sometimes when I do it. Still shows 75. Why? Yeah, it's a.
Yeah, I feel like that's quite good. Maybe it costs them. But no, but if it's within the EU system, like when we try to get them on the ballot, when she or something, you look at it. Maybe that's because, maybe that's because it's smaller.
Yeah, but actually, I think my binder is similar to, like, how it's like. That's taken down, and then go around with support, and then for the French and my. Okay, you tell them this.
They have it has like your.
Yeah, it
Where they.
But it's.
you almost do that, maybe. Yeah, but this aim would be just like, you need to put the things to your site, right? If you are Facebook, right, and you want to the whole page, the whole page can react to that. If it changes.
These are your grades.
But you know, you decide on where you is the context, how high up or how deep down you want it to be.
Well, check it out.
You put in. I'm not going with that.
Yeah.
So one
So
way
you just easily
to
try to
do
get
that
on your. That's
would be that you put to your app.
It's just like.
Where if you have, let's say, 3 people, you don't have to be in your app. Both of them, right?
It seems a little bit there, like
The
doing
value
like
is
they
based on
advertise with the.
That's the interesting thing.
Higher
And then changing or the menu is in code, let's see if it reacts to it. Then it should be. No, I mean, it's a transfer. Go ahead. Wow. The metal cup, it could be for anything, it's just that. It literally means that somewhere in your app, you should just pull from data and. You can read what the data is from anywhere in your apps, below the book. Instead of the users to pack, okay, user video. Oh, yes.
It's Danish.
Yeah. I'm not sure why you. execute an
Are you plus or we should do that?
Okay, yeah, I see, so you mean like you would have a sliding approach to that, yeah, right? Yeah, so. But it's fine, but it's only like one issue that, then it's fast, and yet you have a button.
the free one?
click, the whole page without click, all right click.
But actually, it's
How do
very
you
fast.
guys know if you pop up, just release of the
Most banking
banking, right?
like they have.
Change the account, change the policy, yes. We change the plan, just everything will change plan. Yeah, you. Providing the. So the only thing you guys can do is what would the CSV plan? And then for everything to add, there's component we have, let's say this is a component wherever you're in. Yes. Then we say that here, the start is like, you know, how to edit it. Yeah. Let's say you're, yes, then you say, whatever this is equal to, is the value of the. And everything in school is like, yes, 4%, right? 4%.
Remote sign, people they move sign,
Croatia and we got next.
I don't know what I'm going to. Yeah, there's a lot of organizing, I'm not sure if you look at it, but some people.
the remote that will and create that
Where you're using it, like when you go to the page, React page, your name will look at this order and so on. Up here, down there, messenger, this.
You go super fantastic you. Oh, where yeah, we have. So, okay. Become video create also the expression would you do the expression also the same studio then have then have
So it was
I got into this too, like around.
the hard video then
Right before.
where I say, okay.
Them all out. Because then it would be like.
Yeah.
I
wanted
to.
Yeah, I didn't say otherwise.
But I mean,
Which means that's good. And
Yeah.
the user. Right? And then I'm saying, what we class to be, it's fully at the bottom, and with the user. Object.
Is the best investment that you could have. I didn't think with anything, because you know what it is, it takes time. And also the existing banking sector is too happy. About it, you know? It takes time to break. Are you also rich now?
Even though they do always about, you know, the bottom is better. I know in there, somewhere, right? And they just go to the all the crypto, whatever value you say it's up there somewhere. And then if you just start, you will see. Context, I keep going up. Heather in context, no.
When you buy it.
If not the context, what's the amount happening? So the context, okay, I told it like that. So now, right, you're going to read the value, you focus on object, you can that now this, so you can define here, you can ask it anywhere. Then here you get the value, the explicit that's the bigger one. If you were do this value in another places and in different depths, right? Use this, let's say if you're going 3, right? You add 3. So this is your left bar, where you want to have your name. And no, this is the main page, this is the footer, and this is the, I don't know, the one I would my name here too. So this is like 1 down, this is like 4 levels down, right?
And then you.
Then otherwise we have to pass the prop through shit, and this one, this one, this one, this one. I think that's fine. So these are okay, it's probably can ask for. Context is basically you have a drop, they can add it's an option let's say you just fetch some data, and then you say that you want to get data values or
I remember I had.
I want to create you use property basis data that nobody shares. Because you don't share the data anymore. This is necessary. Okay, from the context, you can share data. Yeah, of course. Right? That makes sense? It's a bit more.
But you also say. But with Solana, I just do it.
What did that do? You got an array of data and
Probably once your theme provider to wrap your app, right? And then you would want to have your theme of the line concept inside. Does that make sense?
So they like component which make to do To do one component and to do this another one.
Oh,
If you look here, we have the provider, and then we have the app inside, right? And the way we can do this is by having our custom provider, it accepts children,
What was it? The seven-
and then we put the children inside the provider.
Was it in the?
It's a couple of steps, but I think this is what you should try. And then you put the theme toggle and the content inside your app. So here, right? Yeah, it's here in app.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Get some data and the level.
So you don't have this in your cat's app? Okay. Then you don't have to recreate it or anything. You don't have to create an app too. You just have to use the children property.
Okay. Okay, you pass this one now.
Good time.
The reason why you do this. There's a reason why you would send it like this, because it's that you want to do give this guys data, something else. No, so you're so afraid your function, just give it some array. It looks what the array is, so if you want to reuse the balloons, then yeah, this is a good way. But you don't want to reuse the balloons, then there's no reason to make it a problem. Oh, actually, I think it's like you're on network. Yeah, so let's say that there's that you have to do for your 4 weeks. So you pick from your API, which is to down the 4 weeks. So you're going to make it like. I want to do list, control this, do this, and get this for Monday. Yeah. Then Tuesday. Thursday. You have to do this, control and get it Monday. And if you all run it the same way, there'll be different days. Yes, yes, yes. So you want to have more to-do list instances if you have, but that's true. Or like if you want to make an app where it's like like to do's and then match to do's and then you want to do and then what else to do, you know? And then it's but it's done in the same way, right? It's the exact same way. Then it depends on what you pass.
There were a group of people.
But you also think about it, if you only want to have it in one, there is only like yeah. You got the question. You asked me. I said that you. So I don't know. So back to what you guys were doing.
Crazy.
Now if you have a what you should write something else, like 5, 7, 3, you can go into any component in app or whatever else in app, and then write any other component, and you can subscribe and ask for this component. As I said, okay. We said that the company basically is people there. Yeah. Can I borrow your laptop? So in the app, in any sort of component, you can ask to give you this balance.
Then just switch the direction. Employees and partners with Microsoft.
Are you asking what's the point?
Like here, you can see.
It depends on what you use it with. Because as you can tell in the example there, what it changes is that if they create a class name variable, right? This says panel plus the D, to the panel line, panel door. And then you change the CSS styling based on the value that the what is called theme. Like basically that they so you pick that, you're gonna change the whole thing, you're gonna change CSS style like so. So basically it uses the value of the context to determine what the CSS style is, that's what the should be. Right? I just follow whatever the value is, you can use it for anything. But let's And I said the example I use. I want my username to show up in here, like in LinkedIn, right? So they can walk in one, right? Username show here, that LinkedIn, so see that's called to be like a username context. And the value is, and then everything you place applicants without. I can see it. That's you can like that's very difficult to say. Yeah. So. Yeah, exactly. That's why the reason why we have context here because that means that means right everything should show you every single. So every single different class we have two different classes. One for life, and for dog. And then everyone we will. What is it means nothing. If you want
the same?
yeah, that's what if you wanted to do it like this, how do you fix that?
I guess we have to do.
But does it return the provider?
They said they
What's that? Yeah. Then okay, let's do that here. Let's do this.
Okay, so we now have the.
Yeah. You know, if you stay and you see you get some more data, then let's do it. You are right. Yes, you need to no, the voice not make it work, you know. That's my fault, sorry. But then maybe you have to say let's say you're gonna do everything. Yeah. Just give one, read the root one, and I did the doors, the logo, like the door, let's say. Usually, putting the logo doesn't make sense, right?
No, let's do the back.
Yeah, that's back. If you can change the background, this will be good. Okay.
Can I help you with anything?
That's one.
There you go. Okay.
So now it's like so there was no
Nobody mentioned that, right? Because yeah. I think it's changing this. Yes, that's only place where you can actually reference the styling is in the app.
So what does it mean when it's like the light color?
In the app.
I don't know, but usually I say that it doesn't sneeze or
Yeah.
it doesn't.
It means that it's unused,
Unused.
so like you're not using the. that you imported.
And this one is.
I think we are changing the new. I want the first one. I know this is like. Already around the update.
We have, no.
So what I wonder is like, why is it so, why does it look so complicated in your case? When actually you would just have the provider and then the app. Why do you have like everyone, you have all of that stuff?
Yeah, so it makes the rule study.
Maybe you don't need
But you add components, right? Is that these two logos and the text.
So you, yeah, so yeah, like when you go back to
You
your,
actually like,
so where do you want the toggles to be?
I don't think so you can change the root class in React.
So, because listen, everyone can say.
Yeah, so what if you from the app, what if you return the theme toggle, the content and the line?
It's where you get your element.
Okay.
Maybe that would
I
work.
think here, this element. This is where you change.
You can rather than that would be
And that,
you know, that's like,
yeah,
so.
what do you have?
If I want to return multiple components, I can use a fragment. It's just a empty component. Like this. Or this is the short version of saying React dot
Yeah.
present.
I think.
It's an empty component, basically, an empty container. It's not going to create a new div in the HTML. It's just going to use this and like it's going to be able to accept multiple components, right? I could put H1 here as well, which I couldn't do when there wouldn't be the fragment, right? Because I can't return two components. Does that make sense? Okay, this might help you.
Pretty sure. Changes, so you don't do the thing manually, so don't think you can do the thing in React.
Yes.
And actually, what was the given back to myself? Then you see, okay, you giving some concept just was the bigger. But then I get any property of the define. So when you overview.
So.
You're saying that's
If you look at use context, when you use it, like how does React know which context you're referring to? Like which context you want to use? How does it know that? Exactly. And I think this is what you're missing.
Well, let's say,
I think we use,
get your username, your age, let's say you have a weather. You need to get the rain or temperature and everything. And so you also have your location, you have your mail. And I mean, the props for
are you sure?
the length will be like a whole page long. I mean, so that's what you want to avoid.
Is there use context in this file?
But then again, yes, use this, there are some use cases that I just said that the props are like a whole page long. Then you
Well,
might
it's not from React, it's from one of your files. Usually if you.
Okay, I see why you said you're clicking why you want the close. Suggest we do. The body is even writing the reports, yes. Yeah, so then you don't want to repeat your response. One of the chance writes it down a lot more time. So if you say chance that you get a six type at once, it means there will be a lot of fire.
Yeah, you just move it to the next one.
It will, but it's going to be narrow, it's that one place where you actually use it, or two places, instead of actually the whole track that you press it down.
Oh, yes. Its return value is not.
But there you, I mean, you see that, the way of thinking.
Yes.
But it's one level, then this, what's the point, right?
Actually, it's not
One level, if you just better the process, it's the same thing. But then you're going to work in
You're very relaxing the line.
That was. Like there, but that many times,
Yeah, so
it's going to be a lot more.
and remove the.
But if you go back to this, since you can only change this, I think one thing would be that you create
Yeah, then in the
the
bottom
bottom
where you
class,
use the button.
is going to change, let's say, the button and this thing spot, right? This should be either, they're both black.
Yeah, what are you expecting?
I'm pretty sure we can also. Yeah, I haven't used React that much, so I'm not sure, we should ask them maybe.
Like it's after after this, it's okay. Like maybe.
Yes, you can, but it's just really confusing, that, you know, you're so.
I'll go back to when
Following
you
your structure, right? You don't know what's going to affect what.
I think it's understood. In the previous year, I was changing.
What are you expecting when the channel use for this thing?
I was tired.
Yeah.
And I.
It's like, it's not wrong, but it's good, work either way. Just it's usually, the idea is that whatever is in the actual VFX file, that's what you will change in CSS, right?
Okay, so.
Yes. We should have checked that comments, but it's not there. We can actually check
Thomas,
between that. It's the same. Yeah.
The default value should correspond to the. You don't have to provide.
It's coming.
Yeah. That works, but maybe one will have to provide an absolute check sometimes. It's not, it doesn't look like this.
Yeah, not your neighbor connection.
Solve them. Maybe ask question first.
Yeah, well, I think you're second.
I think he doesn't care.
Who doesn't?
This question.
Are you happy?
Are you happy?
Yeah,
I am happy.
okay.
Are you happy?
I'm happy when we're out.
Nice.
No.
But it doesn't change.
Yeah, but he told me that it should change all of it. It should change all of it, and then I had to go back.
Nice.
I had to go back to the code and change some parts, and then when I came back, it was here, it was upside down.
If we can show us presence,
Why it does, why it just changes that? I think it's just here, but it's
The nature of CSS, right?
yeah, that's it. So little, maybe because it's.
What is your?
is it possible to have the color of the background, like the color of the roof? It's in React.
Maybe a skill background scholar.
Well, it could be, it could be, but how is the correct
Bro,
way to
it's-
manipulate?
you can have
Then
the
follow
power,
the
it's
ways
fast.
to make CSS.
Bro, the name
Is it good, is it the appropriate thing? Because that's what, that's right there, right? We actually define on the app. So I mean, he did it, I don't know how he did it. I mean, he did it. I don't think changing it, you know, to CSS is a nice design voice. Yeah.
One thing that you can do is like you can use an effect, like this is a perfect opportunity to use an effect.
And then just get element by root, get element by ID.
Exactly. Whatever it's called, I don't know.
It is.
I guess I should.
And get the actual thing, right?
Good, no way.
break it, I like that, break it. It's fine, break it.
What's wrong?
The whole thing crashes every once in a while. I don't know why.
So this is okay thing to do, just get the element by ID and just change it like that.
Sure. And if you don't have any other way to do it.
And I usually this very name that's the parameter for use effect. So if you got it from the context, then okay, yeah, I see. Will it have the user display name before the user effect is actually called? Good question or what?
It doesn't have it right away, but since it's a dependency, it should
Okay,
update, right?
okay. Okay,
You can find proof of the
right.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You see that? Nice way of changing that. CSS. Get the element by ID and change back to similar like this. I have not seen it.
You don't bother, there's no Twitter.
No, I'm back.
More than 6 months.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Because of then the URI is dogs and
Instead, we should get element by ID the root and change of class. Right?
let's see how it feels.
You're right. So. if we go to the image is- Yes, like that.
Someone who's been in Denmark for many years.
Fast, you're-
Total freedom.
This thing. It's a class. No, it's a class.
Yeah, not how much.
We need a. So what we're gonna.
I,
I don't mean to make big stuff.
I mean, otherwise you have your email and then the lines and
I don't see how. That's. Then we read them, you know, it says. So. This is. You should have it. Yeah. Yeah, it's just fine. And you're going back. Which file?
Okay, you know, actually, I want to change. So. Yeah, so. I want to go to search, I want to go to search and talk to. If he doesn't refer me with the right pronouns, I'm gonna ban him on Twitter.
Good shit.
But legally, I can't. Legally, I want to, we can change you. I am, what is it called?
We don't have the, we don't have the provider here, right? We only have the provider here. You only ever once need to render the provider. So you can just remove it from your app.
Yeah,
I mean, this depends on what you want. It's like, my assumption would be that you would want the same travel line content.
But if I.
You are. That's your idea, right? It's gonna be a bit trying to.
Let's be.
So this might be. You design in your main part.
Let's see.
You see, you don't, that's true. Just have to make a line and be in there.
Yeah.
I wonder how.
There was some things from. Pick up on the things that you will see for render. Do you want to range something needs to be. Then you put it in. It's not really. Maybe I will just. Create the thread when you are. So it's created a kind of two.
Nice.
So maybe it's just
I believe that there is the flying. Capable, the form and how.
Let's see if you pick up on.
I believe
Yeah, actually, that.
You don't get.
That's neat.
Okay.
Sometimes, so I think. Get to. Yeah. That's very nice.
Document.
Yeah. We also. Meeting.
The 60, say.
It's Richard. Because right now,
And then here, you think. You can go.
That you already have. You can change.
Maybe this.
Use the theme. Inside the. It's a cool. And then change the background of it.
Maybe we will do that.
It's like
During the.
It's very flat. It's very flat.
here you can. And change the background. Depending on that. The same way that you do with content.
Yeah, they're cheap for whatever I use.
Only other here.
Moving this way.
So. You see, the whole point of the context is to be able to go to any component in your app and to say, okay, I want the context value, right? You don't have to pass any props. It's just there. And the way you do it is, for example, we have this avatar component, right? And so in the avatar, we say use context. And we say which context we want to use. And then we immediately have access to the value. So what you can do in your random cats component is you can add this call to use context. And here you add the theme context. And then you have the value of the theme. And then depending on the theme, you can like change the style, right? Here you can say background theme equals whatever, dark. Then I want it to be blue, otherwise I want it to be white, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I will try.
Cool.
Yeah. It's, yeah, I understand that they need to change the color of font. Yeah.
No, like that.
I mean, this exercise is actually really mean because in the real world, you would probably implement that using CSS variable.
So are you?
Yeah.
So Maybe in real life, we should do that. So,
Yeah, maybe the real time. Okay, so it's same.
yeah. But yeah.
This. These children like brain power.
It means that you're not using. Yeah, you're not rendering.
Yeah, but I'm just saying right now because I have. I just
So where you are using the div? I guess so. This, how can you say?
Yeah.
This one, for example, doesn't have
And I see.
this.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it has children in this sense that I think that it has,
This means that
it doesn't have children. So. Look, so this is the parent, right? And this is, these are the children. Okay? But if I use avatar as its own component, it's in the navbar. Here, it doesn't have children, right? Like, it's just this one component. If it had children, it would look like this. Right? Yes. So then I would need to say, okay, here we want to have the children. And then we also want to show them somewhere. So the fact that a component has multiple layers, let's say, or has some like HTML that has different layers, doesn't mean that it has children. Because it like inside the component. But as soon as you start using the component and then it has children, that means that you have to put the prop and you have to render the children, right? But if you're just using the component without any children at all, there can be anything inside and you don't need the children.
Why do they have an example, the children? Because. Junior backend developer for. Because panel, it's apps.
Yes.
Okay.
So what's the question?
Right?
Yeah, like views, so like if,
nice guess made by
It doesn't have the E in the end.
by name. Name. Tag name HTML, right? Let's do with HTML, that's fine.
Yeah. So I guess if you change it, then. Yeah, this is why I have all these squiggly lines, because I set this project up in TypeScript. And then if you were doing the same thing in TypeScript, it will already tell you, like shout at you, this is not correct. So it's really useful to use TypeScript.
yeah.
Yeah, it's more like low contrast.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, because it's kind of with like the guy, so.
You know, in cheap movies now they don't even put a filter. Cool. Yeah, you can improve it if you want to make the font slide or something.
Let's see, let me see what the actual says.
Yeah, that, yeah, that's the time. Also, Premiere. Adobe Premiere. Ja, maar ik voor. Nou, ik zit niet in Adobe Premiere. Ja, zo wil dan dat. Ja. Also the
Make this calendar white.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nee, dat is de was in June.
All right, everyone. There is
En de voor events ik denk dat was staan.
Pause the recording for. It doesn't look like we were recording.
We have
Yes, the link, it's beeping.
Okay, but it says record here. Why can't I stop
Maybe
the
you can
recording?
record more. But
Yeah, I have to.
sharing. Stop sharing.
Or maybe it's because I didn't start the recording.
Is it cold in here or is it just me?
Look at him.
It's a fine. But you're also wearing several layers.
Several layers.
Yeah, but that's. It's like sweater.
Use that extension as well?
Oh, this is the thing, look at them.
Yeah,
I didn't get it, though. Like, I got it, but I
Like,
didn't get the reference.
now it's fine. The reference is from the movie.
I feel like I watched it a long time ago. It's like the superheroes, no, or something, they're like a family?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good.
This guy.
Yeah, but there's not like more to it than, like, it's just the guy. And he's like sad, and happy, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was first and always was Stacy.
Is that the same guy?
Yeah. I like this, 3 hours and then.
And then the thing comes. Yeah. Why does it have to be?
It's so hard.
Maybe
Give me the cover. Yeah, let's do something.
Maybe you're writing correct code right now.
See?
So good. Oh,
Oh, here.
nice. Oh, yeah, then he died.
So,
Oh, yeah. What was it called? It wasn't called airlines, no, it didn't. Incredibly in your face, yeah. Would you actually use it like? For fun?
for fun.
Developer fun, developer fun. I remember that.
I think so happy with you.
Yeah, happy, okay, that's good. Sure, it's satisfying too. Oh, yeah, well.
Do you have any cool extensions?
Huh? I don't know. I hope, I will take a time.
Like cool you.
But then, you're going to church?
Stage.
Take some photos. This is the Danish way, or you don't do it in Ukraine?
No, we do it, but we decide to get something. Because she will go in here. And your tradition is more cultural, so it's really easy. She's actually a little bit older.
Yeah, right, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, usually do it like
Before
1 year. or
1 year, so she's almost 2, but like I talked with the press and they said, yeah, it's never.
something. Never too late. They, they want as many people as possible.
Because
To
you
enter.
pay the tax. Yeah.
But it's nice, it's also a nice day.
Yeah.
Celebration of power.
Mm.
So what was your full name? Sasha?
When we.
Yes. Christening. Christening. I didn't ask them.
So she would do some, another maybe to go.
What's her name?
Like something in the past or all her
But like, middle name, then. What's the last name? Jack?
No, there's not.
Oh. So Sasha. But maybe you heard it.
So do we?
Yeah.
I think if you this problem in the future.
But that's a sound, yeah. Yeah, but it should not be too long.
Yeah, in France.
Yeah. It's been a good day. What about your parents and? Where are they? So it's been.
So it's yours.
Are you ready? Yeah.
That's nice.
Vous pouvez le faire? Et faire. Il n'y a pas de révélation.
Okay, everyone.
But I have a question. All the time I can remember the teacher's chair and this with the hours.
Well, Well, I don't have a chair at all, so I guess you won.
This time.
Continue? Yeah,
Okay.
maybe that's like giving more authority. I think we're waiting still for 2 people. Yeah. Okay, let's wait 2 more minutes for the others because,
2 more minutes.
yeah, we have an exercise to wake you up, hopefully. Mhm.
Post lunch.
Yeah,
Energizing.
well, I don't know. It's
Yes.
first step is reading, so I don't know. I'm not sure. First step is
Yeah.
reading.
So it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Do you think it's enough? 5 minutes for the first one?
Yeah, because I realized that it's just reading and getting together. So,
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
I mean, you
I
can't
think it's
read
enough.
the whole page in 5 minutes, but you can sort of get an overview. We can make it 10.
I think it's enough. It's enough actually. Because yeah, they're gonna do it anyway. They're gonna stick to with.
Yeah. It's sort of random, to just put some numbers. Vinny, do you want to continue the recording? I don't know. I mean, it's not really useful for the people, but cool. Okay, everyone, we have more exercises for you. So what we want to do next is focus a bit on three more hooks that you haven't heard before, maybe. We'll see. So the idea is that you get together in 3 different groups, and each of your groups picks one of these hooks and reads the documentation first. Then you will discuss in your group why and when you would use this hook, and then we will like all listen to you explaining it to the whole class. Everyone is rolling their eyes. Okay, but the thing is, like, what we realize, or what I realize, I can't speak for you, but is that
Okay.
when you like explain it to each other, it's much more useful than when we explain it to you, right? So this is why we have this exercise. So should we just go like clockwise, and you're almost sitting in groups already? I don't know.
It's 3 COVID, 3 Thursday.
We could do like 3, 3, 3. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would take use memo. You're doing use callback, and the last 3 are using looking at use reducer. There's no link, but you can go to react.dev. Did you hear? Did everyone hear? The documentation is at react.dev.
You should also explain.
Yeah, but just the one that your group got.
Yeah.
Say something nice. I know you know for that. That's why we didn't even know about it. The guy, right? Christian? Oh, yeah, there. What kind of country you go by? Use callback, yeah, use callback. Use callback, it's right next to use text. Can you please come down a little bit?
But we're working on exercise 2 now, in case you didn't realize.
I darkened my mode.
You already did that.
Yeah, we did that, no exercise.
Yes.
Folks, we choose-
Did you at all listen when I talked like 2 minutes ago? Doesn't look like it. You're in a group, by the way, the 3 of you, like in case you didn't know.
I know that I'm in a group.
He's aware of the fact that
Standing behind me and So what else we do? They were- we did it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. We need to explain at least search for it should be fine. But usually this is all the website. How many are going to just go on the
Very happy. Happy bones.
When you explore the muscles, probably that way. Be also the details. It's different. I think I went.
Yeah. Instead of this one. This one.
My mom always said that having the when my brother,
Yeah, it's just.
Yes,
Just
yes.
to explain.
she was like almost sent him flying.
Previous one, you know, but.
Yeah, Christian is cheating.
This is the second.
I cheated on a lot of things.
These are close.
That's true. I mean, that's just my parents and my brother actually lives in Netherlands. Yeah, I visit them all the time. They have their house and stuff. No, they're very close to the border. They're more nice to the border of the Netherlands.
Ja, dan komt het spelen.
Ja, skills studeren dan, like, postconventions, planning voor een land. Ja, het is een al die wedstrijd. Yeah, I just moved on my own because I came here for just a couple of years and doing my studies and I was like, okay, let's try this Aarhus in Denmark. and I really liked it. And then after a while, when I finished my studies and I started a job and stuff, I got in contact again with some company and we opened the shop. Came back. And what do you like the most about Aarhus? It's a really good question because it's so long ago, right? And we not remember anymore because now it's sort of from my home. No, just, I think it's really like, it's just, it's a big city, but it's really small. And also like all the nice views you find. I was cycling by the beach. The beach is really super close and people are really friendly and nice. Really like that. The calmness. They're really cheap. It's the same in that. Yeah, no. Really not a Danish thing to complain. It's cheaper. It's not.
And like also any like even on the maritime, I have to check out the context. If we want to say wrong or something like that. I think that you know someone who is 200 euros or something like that. This is not, it's obviously just an addition. What can you buy is like yeah, it's a good job. This is the right maybe more performing very well. I don't think it's years. My band is very echo. But you don't know. There you go. You're an AI assistant.
Yeah,
We can start.
yes, please.
So use Memo from React.
Sure, sure. Anything specific?
Just examples, yes,
This one?
so use Memo, it's React to some extent to two arguments. Like, its first one is a function, some make a compilation, and another one is array of dependents. We usually have to use Memo to
Memorize.
yeah, our process. So for example, if we have some expensive calculation, so we just can do it in this use Memo, and it will not be re-render every time. So just to keep the results until the array of dependencies is not changed.
Okay,
It's pretty good.
yeah. Yeah. What was the next one? Do you want to go? I don't remember which one you had.
I think it was just callback.
Okay, so
Use callback.
use callback.
Let me open it.
Use callback. It does, it's like you put the function in the box,
Mhm.
so you can like reuse it again. That
Okay.
takes the whole function, memorize it, and you can use it again.
Yeah, sounds about.
Almost.
How would
It
you?
also has like an array of dependencies.
Array of what?
Dependencies. From what I remember.
Yeah, it does. So what happens when these dependencies change? Product ID or referrer? Blank. Yeah, it's the same as with every other hook, right? Like when these dependencies change, React will do it like call it again, right? It will recreate the function in this case.
The main difference between use memo and use callback is that use memo it's for like variables, and the other one is for functions. So one is value and function.
Cool. And the last one is use.
Reducer.
So what can you say about that?
We discussed it, but we also should be understood. That's the way I understood it's like a new state. It's more like they use things. It says that. Yeah, we use it to, like, reduce, calculate, something. And, it takes, 3 parameters, reducer, and it's like a function. And, another array, and, init, and it's, optional. The reducer, to return save and, dispatch. Yes, and we show an example, and you see that it's sort of like a counter or timer. Yeah.
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 That's, from my view, pretty good. What
Yeah,
do you
it's
think?
pretty good.
What's the difference between one and the counter or the timer we work with before is we use it, we do without reducer, we reduce the user space and
It's because when you're having this state, you just want to trigger these actions like increase count. You don't care about what's the actual count at that time. You just want to trigger that action, and the reducer is gonna handle this logic for you.
And also we can create a bottom and we increase it without using reducer.
I think one of the advantages is also that you can change the logic if you want to without changing the UI, right? Like in here, you just say, okay, I want this type of payload, or this type of event. I want this to be dispatched. And then in the reducer, you have the logic for what should happen when this event is dispatched. And you can say, okay, I want the age to be +2. Like in my new version of the app, right?
So we can use more cases like switch yes.
Yeah, more. You can. Maybe there is actually an example with multiple things
Yeah,
with
so
name, age, change name.
you can have multiple types and handle them in the same reducer.
that can you do that use this.
Yeah, I mean, yes. You will find many hooks that you can sort of find replacements for, right? There are always different ways of implementing stuff. So yeah, use state can definitely be used. But
A lot of actions, but it can be a lot of stuff like also like an action can be, let's say, user logged in, you put like some payload, or like getting the details of the, maybe not getting the details, but like modifying the name, the age, the profession, and a lot of stuff can be in this reducer. Also like teen, for example, so you don't have to know all these functions. All you need to know is the name of the actions and what payload does it need to be. So you can have like a way more complex state.
Question?
And I've seen that in the documentation for this one, there was in this patch, there was a caveat that I found interesting, which is said that the state only actually updates after, because we re-render the components re-render. So if you were to code this path somewhere in the logic of your component code, directly after that, the state is not updated yet. It's one of the actually when it gets re-rendered. So that's all decision at least I would think. Well, I thought that if the reference gets updated in this immediately updated everywhere, right? But I guess it's not the case.
How about use state? Like, can you immediately use the updated state when you use
I'm
use
not
state?
sure. Can you?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Thought so.
This is why we have the version of use state or set state where you can have the function, where you can pass a function and it has the current state as the parameter, so that you can be sure that you're modifying the current state, not some old state.
probably just that after, if you were to reference.
Yeah.
That you said actually return the new one.
It's the new variable will only be available, like the new value of the variable will only be available on the next render.
Okay.
So yeah. That's React logic. But it's also a good indicator for when you have, let's say you have use state and you find yourself needing the value immediately after you change it. Probably you should use something else, because use state is just for triggering a re-render in your component, right? Like whenever the state updates, you want the component to update. But when you do like calculations and stuff, maybe you want to use like const, or maybe you want to use a ref. Like, right?
Or you can catch it afterwards with like use effect, because you
Yeah.
can have like multiple use effect hooks. in your-
Yes.
Right.
Okay, I see you're all very tired. Well, we have some.
examples.
Yeah, we have. No, actually, I mean, these hooks, we put them in for you to see that there is a lot to React, right? There are so many different possibilities you have, but these are not very common. Like, it depends on the code base. like,
Yeah,
But you can already achieve a lot with the hooks that you already learned, like use effect, use state, use context, right? But it's good to know there's more, and you can read up on it, and then you will be able to use it as well.
and you can actually combine them. You can create like can combine, for example, use context, but use reducer. Have this this state available in the whole app that's more complex. And instead of just passing a function that's going to, let's say, modify an age or name, it's going to be like the dispatch function. And then with the dispatch function, you can just trigger actions.
Like custom.
You create new hooks with the existing hooks, basically.
Yeah, so the last part of today's session, we thought that we would tell you a bit about the React ecosystem and like how you can use it to your advantage. So so when you go to NPM, for example, and you search for React, only like searching for React, I can see there are 235,000 packages. So you have a lot of code already that people made that you can just reuse. Of course, there are disadvantages with that as well, but you don't have to think about that right now. So you can just use whatever people put on NPM and see how it works for your app, for your project. And in this exercise, we actually want you to do that. So if you look at Slack, you can see that I posted a JSON that Lucas has created. He's not here today, so this is his ghost sort of communicating that to you. And the idea is that you would use this this data to create a image slider website using React and using this data. And you can use whatever package you want. And maybe you will find a package already that does that for you. And you will have to figure out how to use it and install it in your project, maybe try a couple of different ones. And so it should work in a way that in the end, we can see this data as images, and we can like slide them from left to right, look at the next one, maybe have some little arrows on the screen, right? Like, you know, when you in Facebook, when you open an album, something like that. That makes sense? So this is for the rest of today to look into that.
Yes. We actually maybe, let's say we have that recommendation that we have in the brackets.
True. This one, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe a starting point for you, since you don't have that much time. We already found this component if you want to try it. But I also encourage you to use maybe a different component, like a different one.
Yeah.
Mhm. Cool. If you need some fresh air or some coffee, and just you know what to do, right? No, I think I will let this stay here for the rest of the session. And
Yeah.
if you want to, you can.
It's up to you.
You might not need to.
React modified status. Okay. This area is for that. So I'm familiar with that concept. It's about 10 people. Yeah, we have a lot of buildings logic. 10,000 user factors. I feel like this value based on this value and this value changes, you have to also change this. Couldn't imagine doing this, but at least it was right now. Yeah. It's a trading house. I was lucky experience also. Other companies want to these days. They only hire anyone that's not next to the stuff like that. But this one is hiring, No, it's like I just try because I have this experience of Node.js and all this stuff from university. Yeah. Might as well find it. I don't feel one of it anyway. I'm volunteering on defense. Ever since then, that even fast for them. That goes to whenever I get great is the most advanced that I know, I guess. Are you making any progress?
We're just about to. Sometimes you have to display those features like, select them like arrows or something.
Sounds about right. Research and knowledge. So that's library, it's on science. Can you use this in library?
Usually I'm not typing any libraries. There needs to be like a discussion why we actually need this library. I remember at some points. Found some example of another team just added package for some reason just performing this.
Yeah, usually using that. It's a bit tricky, yeah.
It's for animations or something like that.
I'm not sure if the same thing, if it's a picture. And then like you can use it in native, but it uses like SETU stuff and that's not really hardware accelerated on phones and
No, nobody can create animations. It's already yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have this because the design team, they sometimes buy these animations of their mission. And people just deliver a JSON file and we have to use this local library to show the JSON file. Is usually quite a disconnect for sure. People and development scene is like you don't really understand the technical challenge. I think
Some of them are like super simple, but here it's way more complicated. Yeah, sometimes they are like really really complicated. It's just like one of the products. They have like a lot of business people in the and probably just a little bit of people.
Yeah, exactly. So in the company that I'm working, we working with people. And then we have my boss, he is part of the staff that we're also working. So there we have 10 people. And I'm also involved in other projects.
They're like a consultant.
Yeah, I need to say that.
But like I really like a consultant, or it's like just working on the project.
Both, and we usually get hired with companies that have the development team, or hired a company to develop their product, but they are both. And then they hire us to do the work and also obviously live on stuff.
How can, let's say, I switch from software engineer to a consultant and like
For me, there isn't much difference, but I think the biggest skill that I sort of try to bring is being able to communicate between like technology and non-technical people. Because very often you have to run into people.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like, how can I just say, make the control default? Like, for example, I know that at one point, here is consultant. I know that it's pay more for some reason.
Yeah.
It wasn't there, that's the intention.
Yes. So I'm an employee.
Yeah.
I'm not a self-employed. Like my company, it's sort of being paid as a consultant, as a consultant. So this is also why they are, because they're freelancers, so you have to pay their own taxes and you have to pay their own pension and stuff like that. So you have to factor all of it, and also like holidays and stuff like that.
How much is the consultant from? All I know is that they have more.
Yeah, they do, but they also have more course. You can try doing the freelance about
Money to open the business.
yeah, exactly. The approach. Then they will hire you on like a time basis to do
Yeah.
the project is.
It's more for something. When you do something.
And then, like, as an employee, I don't have to think about all these things, but if you're self-employed, you have to think about. Okay, what happens if I get sick? What happens if I have to pay for my pension, I have to pay for my whatever insurance? Do you have a business insurance?
How do you pay the salary actually? You're a business.
Well, but I mean, that's,
No, but I'm saying as a consultant, you actually a business.
yes.
But this is very clear. So you pay taxes.
Yeah, you can pay salaries and so on. But it depends on the type of company that you're in. If you're like a one-person company, then you don't have to have as much stress. Yeah, separation.
between the owner funds and the public funds. So you're like a, what do you call it? Company where you own. Basically, there are some types of your own assets are strictly separate from the other assets. Which also means that, let's say you make some mistake and customer sues you, they might not be able to get your private assets, but all your risk, like, to treat them like something. If you get a phone call, it's not forcing your house.
Mine may not be here. They grow a company because that you know that you're not gonna pay tax on the expense of the people. So then you rent, say use on your car or whatever, and afterwards you want to pay some what's left after the payment is due. And pay tax on the
I guess that's surprisingly using for your business. A lot of confusion. You rent an office and then you use your car for work, you can also subtract.
Yeah,
Basically.
and also make the rent because you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
Maybe close.
You mean half of it.
Exactly.
But you know now,
Yeah.
so, we have set around. I mean, family, my company, yeah, I think the initiative is interesting. So we have like, webinars or people from the community also who are trained to get information. People are interested.
That's not the first one you say more.
You want to invest in your business, like you make a lot of money and you hire some people and you pay them. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But if you have to like. Because you have to. You have to really like to have anything. I know, but for certain months, there's always money. If I'm self-employed. Can be very difficult.
Those companies don't have offices in the main, so I don't work from home, you kind of from business. Yeah. Yeah, actually, employed as non trained, but the concept is different. Yeah, because you don't have office in the country. Okay. But we have something like this can also be as which contract.
Yeah. I will just send you again with yours. Good. Have you tried different ones? Thank you from the libraries.
Oh, it's just.
Okay.
Good job.
It's coming.
Hey, I just want to mention to everyone, have you seen the homework already? It looks quite okay. It's a GitHub user search. I think you have all the tools to do this, right? It's fetching from an API, having an input field where users can input a search term, and showing some different states based on the response you get. And then there is also a part about meal sharing. And I don't know if you did last week's homework already. You did? Okay, so you already have some meal sharing set up? Okay. Cool. So just let me know whenever, or let us, the 3 mentors of this module, let us know when something in terms of the meal sharing setup is weird or doesn't work, or you're confused. Let us know so that we don't have to deal with all the problems in the last week. Okay. Any questions about the homeworks?
Last time question was about some students asked if they not ready about Node.js homework. So it means that they cannot do this homework. This many times.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult if you don't have the meal list.
But you need to do at least first homework because it renders all views.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I haven't done this before, so I don't know how this meal sharing works.
Yeah, I did the last homework, so you just need to finish Node.js week 1 and you can do week 3 homework.
Okay, so yeah, that's it. Do you have anything to add? Thank you for today.
Thank you.
I have one last thing. I think also with this meal sharing, maybe we're gonna do so as they did in Copenhagen, this interview thing at the end, where we did like a little mock technical interview where they asked questions and stuff about the meal sharing app. So maybe we'll let's see. One thing, Shweta asked me, she's so busy with her work and her education that she can't manage the weekly online session anymore. So I think what she just did was start the Zoom and like kind of plan with UNES when it would be. So she wanted to ask if one of you wanted to take over. It's like a relatively small task, but she can't do it anymore. So, no. But she will come next Sunday and maybe ask again. But just think about it. If one of you have a little bit of time. I don't know how many of you are attending the UNES, the weekly sessions now? No? You, Mario? So you are?